Welcome, everyone. Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Christ consciousness. That means pure truth and information here, not a bunch of garbage. So, what I want to start off with is stop lying about Bob Saget. This is a classic case, and the reason I'm covering it of how disinformation and liars affect an entire population. And it's pretty sad that someone's going to go out and accuse somebody of being a child molester when there's absolutely nothing that links him to any of these practices whatsoever. He's never been arrested. There's never even an accusation from anyone. People are living under the delusional, brainwashed stupidity. You know, the same kind of people that are running this country, voting for idiots, and the reason why this world sucks. Because they don't know nothing. They don't do any research. Even professional researchers are getting it wrong. They know nothing. And you have to really wonder what's going on here. But Bob Saget, who has been praised by everybody in the TV show that he worked on, all the children have come out and said how wonderful he was, and that includes the Olsen twins, which there is some sort of bizarre insinuation that there was misconduct there and sexual abuse. All of this is complete lies. One of his co-stars, Candace Cameron Bure, who's a well-known born-again Christian who spent many years with Bob Saget working with him. She has her own Bible. She put out a Bible that is easier to understand and be read, has nothing but praise for him for all the years she's known him. No misconduct anywhere. He has no misconduct. He was never arrested. He was never even accused of anything. And this kind of nonsense, particularly perpetrated by some internet fools and liars. And what's interesting is they like to call themselves truth speakers and Christians. Well, I get the Christian part of it, the hateful group that they are, but it's very typical of people attacking him. Now, what people are doing is taking a comedy Friars roast. Now, Friars roasts, which are basically done for a small group of people, used to be. It started off as a small group of professional comics that would roast their friends. And roast is the key word here. They would say the most disgusting, despicable things about them that they could, thinking somehow this is amusing. These turned early into Dean Martin roasts, which were kind of cleaned up for TV and went on for years. They were funny. People would come out and say ridiculous things about people, accusing them of everything. Now, this private roast of Bob Saget had all of his friends up there, including everybody on his Full House TV show. They even said that that he killed somebody, and this is done in a outrageous fashion of that. This guy is so scummy, he kills people and everything else. And this is supposed to be amusing. And I guess if you're kind of drunk, it's amusing. They also endlessly discussed in this show, which I feel is very inappropriate, of that there would be all this molestation because there's so many children there. And he was a terrible molester. And this was supposed to be amusing. But it was done in a Friars roast in a comedy situation, and everybody participated. And this was supposed to be so over the top are these roasts that they're supposed to say things like this, which are supposed to be amusing. I don't think it is. And I think here's a prime example of what happens when you do stuff like this and it takes it out of proportion and people see it. And I don't know why anybody would think someone would scream this anyway. If you're going to state in a public venue that someone's committed a horrible crime, well, that's a pretty terrible thing to do. And of course, that's a legal situation. So I don't get what these people think are funny. In this roast, Gilbert Gottfried, who's recently passed away, stated that he murdered a girl in 1979 or something like that, whatever the date was. This was a joke. People are putting this on the internet as somebody stating this as fact. And of course, you can do this in this day and age because we know that we have unlaw enforcement. So if anybody did do something, you know that they're not going to get caught for it unless you're very innocent, and then they'll go after you. So the whole idea is that this is the kind of nonsense. There's not a single person in his cast that didn't come out and say what a wonderful, loving guy he is. As of the recent days, I've looked through at least 30, 40 of his interviews. He has a channel where he talks to other celebrities and all of this. And he's kind of a goofy, very nice guy from what I can tell. And everybody has actually said that. Most people have said that he's the greatest human being they've met, one of the greatest. His ex-wife, or his widow, we should say, states that he was a wonderful guy and she misses him, etc. Now, why is this important? Well, first of all, people should not be lied about. Their reputation shouldn't be destroyed after their death. Plain and simple. So what should be stated is the facts, no matter what they are. Now, Bob Saget was known for his blue comedy, where he talked and used a lot of foul language, etc. Well, that doesn't mean anything. A lot of comics has done that, and as I've mentioned before, Andrew Dice Clay is probably the king of that, who thinks it's perfectly fine to screw your daughter because you pay her college. That's stated there, and a lot of other filth by him. Now, people don't take it seriously because it's done in a comedy thing. People say, oh, the comedy is masking real life. Well, this may be something that happens, but not when you're getting into such ridiculous things. I don't think Andrew Dice Clay is molesting his children either because he's paying their college fees. That's a joke from a character who's supposed to be the lowest level person there is. That's the character he played. Now, Bob Saget, for one reason or another, decided to get really filthy in his routines and talk about some of the most outrageous things ever. And this is what a certain segment of comics do, especially when they're drunk after hours and they're sitting around tables and saying, well, what is the most disgusting joke we can come up with? Now, this joke is online as well. He's being filmed talking about this. Do you think this is real, people? And it's amazing how people can say so many things about so many people and it's not taken seriously. But when you had something like this, which is obviously a joke, it's so disgusting, this joke they have him saying, with everything from feces to blood to incense. It's just, it's meant to be the most disgusting, vulgarest thing you can give it. And there's a certain group of people that think that is wonderful. And all of this grotesque, disgusting stuff has always been used as some sort of bizarre humor. I've never liked it and never thought it had value either. But there's zero charges against him. There is no allegations ever made against him. The reason this happened as well is because he was goofing off on a set with a rubber doll, a rubber baby doll, a doll. It was a piece of rubber that was used as a stand-in from one of the Olsen twins. And him being his bizarre weirdo self decided to make all sorts of comments and ended up throwing the doll on the bed and humping it. Very, very inappropriate for a guy who's considered America's dad and also working with a bunch of young children. Very, very inappropriate, but very much part of how people think in general. It's not only Hollywood, it's everywhere. But somehow these comics think that it's so shocking that they get everybody's attention, and that's part of it. So this is the kind of nonsense that went on. There's never been a single charge made against him, and nobody has alleged anything. Nobody's come out and said that he was inappropriate or he molested me, etc. His entire cast says that he was wonderful. He has an ex-wife and 3 daughters. Nothing from them in terms of any negativity. They miss their dad terribly, etc. So nothing there coming out. There's no hard feelings. And his wife says the same thing here, his widow. So let's stop this nonsense and get the truth out there. Let's stop these lies perpetrated by so many people. And one of them, and the reason why this is important, because this opens up the fact that people are rationalizing that he was murdered, which there's no evidence to show that right now, because he was this big bad child molester and people went after him. Totally and complete lies. This is perpetrated particularly by 2 people on YouTube named Too Strong. These 2 guys are up there talking about this, saying that he was a terrible child molester based on nothing. This is the kind of research they do. Should we believe anything they say? Now, I've found this on many people that say these kind of things, and I no longer listen to them. I can't believe a single thing they say because they're getting everything wrong. There's also a professional investigator who gets everything wrong as well. People listen to them thinking that they are factual. These two guys are nobody, and they like to talk about their Christianity while they're condemning somebody else. Well, isn't that God's job? But you wouldn't know that either. So the whole idea is these two guys are perpetrating information that is unsubstantiable. There's no proof he did anything. The fact of his kind of odd death certainly is a little bit odd. But there is no signs of foul play. There wasn't anybody who entered his room per electronic door locks or anything else, and there wasn't any camera. So we don't know. It is kind of strange that somebody could get damaged the way they did by just falling onto hard surfaces, but that's not necessarily all that strange. The human body can break like an egg if hit properly. He was not well in general. He had apparently one of his arteries was 95% clogged. This guy was going to have a heart attack fairly soon on top of it. So the bottom line is that there is no evidence to the contrary. And to say that he was murdered because he was a person who was involved in child molestations is really out there and lies. We need to stop this stuff. I'm sick of the misinformation and the out disinformation that people are putting things out because they're not doing any research at all. Let's find the proof here. It's amazing how nobody comes out with any proof of it. You listen to these people claiming he was a child molester, but there's no people saying this person said it, that person. Now, most of these cases that we have out there that people are claiming to be molested are naming names. Nobody has ever named him. He's an odd, filthy mouth guy who made a lot of money, and it's very typical of people. This happened with David Cassidy, if people remember him from the Partridge Family. Not in any way to connect him with any molestations or so forth, but the bottom line is that he was a rock and roll kind of metalhead, and he was singing bubblegum candy songs to 12-year-olds. It drove him crazy. So the whole idea is that these are the type of things that happen, and he's that same type of father here, Bob Saget, where he's playing this squeaky clean guy, and what people usually like to do is then show how rotten they are in a comedic form. So I hope everybody has got that. Don't support lies like this. Don't support people who are going out there and basically slandering people with no evidence whatsoever. We need to find truth here. We need to find the perpetrators of these kind of hideous crimes and so many other ones and make sure that they are brought to justice, not attack people just because they're a little weird or state something out of context. And these kind of things of out of context and slander is something that happens to a lot of people, including myself, all on baseless stupidity done by basically evil, rotten people who want to hurt the good people. And this seems to be a very similar case. Until next time.